Hi guys, my name is Jennifer and I'm going to be reviewing episode 14 of Timeless. So it was actually a really cool episode last night. We went back to the 1920s and a lot of things ensued on their mission. So I'm going to try to start with the beginning of the episode. What happened was last episode we ended with Lucy confronting her father that she never knew. And she's learned that he's actually a part of Rittenhouse, which is a group that they're trying to destroy. And she's got it in her blood as well, so she's not too happy to learn about that. So we basically pick up where we left off with them talking about Rittenhouse, and she's really resistant against being a part of it, which is understandable because they're not a very good organization. They want to change history to maintain their power. So she explains to Rufus and Agent Christopher that he's her father and he's part of Rittenhouse. So they're trying to figure out what to do, and they decide that they should continue to stop Flynn. But they have to go back in time without Wyatt now, since he stole the time machine last time. And now he's in, like, solitary confinement of some kind. So they actually get a new soldier. I think they mentioned that he was mentioned before, but I honestly can't remember. It's been a while. So anyway, he's new. His name's David, I think. So they all go back to Paris in the 1920s. But before they get there, Flynn and his new partner Emma are there, and they're trying to get Charles Lindbergh. So they shoot down his plane and they capture him. And what's interesting about Lindbergh is that he's actually a part of Rittenhouse. And this is actually going to be an interesting tie-in to Lucy's storyline later, but I'll get to that. So what happens is the trio get there, and they find the plane, and while they're talking about where Lindbergh might be, Ernest Hemingway comes in, and he offers to help them. And he's actually a really interesting character. I love the actor who plays him. He's basically like a drunk. Anyway, so we go to a club where Josephine Baker is, and she agrees to give them information. She has informants, so they're going to try to find Flynn. And I really have to say, I love Josephine Baker in this episode. They actually really gave her a good part. She's very helpful. She even has a really nice scene with Lucy where they talk about it's basically I'm blanking on this. Anyway, it was a really good scene, I remember, and it was because I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Midnight in Paris. It's really beautiful. It's a Woody Allen film, and it was basically like a version of that in this episode, but they really gave more of the role to Josephine Baker and Ernest Hemingway, so that was really cool. So anyway, what happens is they figure out where Flynn is, but before they can get there, there's a shootout in an alley, and unfortunately their new soldier David is shot and killed. He didn't last too long. So I guess they left him in the 20s. That part I was a little unsure of, which I wouldn't think you could actually leave somebody from the present in the past, but I guess that's how it works in this universe. I don't know. So now Lucy and Rufus are without a soldier, which is a problem, but thankfully Ernest Hemingway actually offers to help take them to the house where Flynn is, supposedly. So when they get there, they leave Lucy alone at one point, and she's kidnapped by one of Flynn's men. And what happens is she and Flynn are discussing Lindbergh, and she actually convinces him into letting her talk to him to try to talk him out of Rittenhouse, because that's technically his destiny. So what happens is she talks to Lindbergh, and she's in this moment where she can compare herself to him because his father is the reason why he gets into Rittenhouse. And his father wants to use Lindbergh's fame to become kind of like a Nazi sympathizer and spew all of these hateful things about everybody. So that's actually kind of an interesting twist on history there. And Lucy tries to talk him out of it by comparing herself to her father's situation because her father's Rittenhouse. Both of them really don't want to become it. So she tries to talk him out of it, and it seems like she's gotten him out of the idea. So eventually they're able to kind of like compromise. Like Lindbergh should disappear since they think he died in a crash. So that's kind of what they come up with. And meanwhile, Rufus and Hemingway are talking, trying to figure out what happened to Lucy, and I actually really love this scene. It was actually really funny. Hemingway is trying to tell him, like, don't give up on things, keep fighting. And at one point, Rufus finally fights back, and he's like, yeah, I've seen bad things, and I keep going, I keep fighting. And Hemingway is happy about that, and then suddenly he drops a bottle of, I think it was whiskey. And just the pause on that is so funny. Because Hemingway's, he loves whiskey, and just the look on his face is hilarious. And he basically replies with, well, that's disappointing. Sorry. You had to watch it probably to get how funny it is. Anyway, so they continue into the catacombs where Lucy and Lindbergh are, and they find them, but they don't escape before they're confronted by Emma. And Rufus actually knew Emma because she was a part of their group 10 years before. So he's able to convince her to let them go. And you can tell that Rufus and Emma kind of still care for each other since they were probably work partners at some point. So maybe Emma's not 100% bad just because she's working for Flynn. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know. So anyway, they eventually get back to the present, and unfortunately, Lindbergh did not take Lucy's advice. He still became a Nazi sympathizer and spewed hateful things. Sorry, I had to pause. I was having a cough attack. I don't know why. Anyway, so they get back to the present. Lindbergh is still a Nazi sympathizer, unfortunately. And it kind of gets you to wonder, maybe there's really no way to change history unless you kill the person, which that's not really a good solution. So anyway, Lucy's at home, and her mother comes up to her, and the thing with Lucy is she's still trying to get her sister back because her mother appeared instead of her sister. Because something changed at one point during one of their trips. So she's trying to figure out how to get her sister back. But meanwhile, she's kind of having this strained relationship with her mother, who's technically not supposed to be there. But they actually have a calm conversation. And her mother gives her a gift, and when she opens the box, it is the dun-dun-dun journal that Flynn has that Lucy supposedly wrote in. So it's kind of like it's setting up everything that's supposed to happen. And this is kind of like another thing that Lucy is concerned about because she does not want to work with Flynn. But according to the journal that he got from the future, she does end up working with him, so this is kind of proving that this is going to be more and more of a possibility. but she still has the choice of whether she writes in it or not, but something tells me something's going to set that off, so we'll see. So, meanwhile, what was happening in the present is that Agent Christopher was replaced with another group of men. So she's no longer working with Mason Industries, who are in charge of the time machines. So what's happening is these men are actually Rittenhouse. So they're starting to take control of Mason Industries, which means they have control of one of the time machines. That's not good. So Agent Christopher, and she actually goes to visit Wyatt, and they figure out that they're Rittenhouse, and she helps him break out of solitary confinement. So now what's going to happen is the four of them, Agent Christopher, Rufus, Lucy, and Wyatt, are going to work together. Agent Christopher and Wyatt being somewhere on the side, and Lucy and Rufus working on the inside to try to bring down Rittenhouse. And it looks like in the next episode, they manage to steal the time machine, which may or may not have consequences. I'm positive it's going to have consequences, though. And they go back to the 1930s, and they see Al Capone, and that's probably what it's going to revolve around. And that looks very exciting. I'm curious to see where that storyline goes. So yeah, it's actually looking very exciting. I'm really trying to figure out how Lucy, like what her fate's gonna be. Because she can't, unless she works with Flynn and is a part of Rittenhouse just to get inside the organization. I don't know. But there's gonna have to be a really big conflict for that to happen because she's very resistant to that idea. So that's just my theory, that if she does end up working with Flynn, it's going to be because she's working on the inside of Rittenhouse still, trying to figure out information and all that. But I don't know. It's a lot to follow. It's a lot to guess, but I'm really excited to see how it's going to unfold. And we only have 2 episodes left. And so I'm trying to think what could happen in the finale, but I'm not sure. Something big, definitely. And I really hope the show gets renewed because I definitely want to see more of what happens. And I really love the writing for the show. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of research to go into history and essentially rewrite it to where it makes sense for one plot line. So basically the one plot line is Rittenhouse and how it's all connected throughout history. And it's really cool that it starts back in the 1700s. So we'll see, and I'm really excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and recap, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!